Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And once again, our courts have shown that the justice system in this country is not fit for purpose. It is incapable of dispensing the kind of justice that the people demand. This time, they've allowed a P to escape a proper punishment by claiming that he's a woman, and have therefore allowed him to do his 12 years in a woman's prison. Why? He was born male, he committed the crimes as a male, and in fact he lacks a gender recognition certificate, so even the courts themselves recognise that legally he's still a man. But they do not want to be seen to be phobic, and so they pander to the tiny, gobby minority in case they upset some trans activists, and instead allowing a man who abuses a huge number of children over a long period of time to do easy time in a woman's prison, where undoubtedly more people will be abused by this individual. It's disgusting and it's wrong and it needs to stop. Let's look at this article. So, biological male transgender P sent to female prison in woke England. Yeah, they're too damn scared. You see, what they want, they've got this Nuremberg mentality here. You've got to praise to the trans. They've got their flags. What they haven't actually got on there yet is the P flag, but I'm sure that won't be long in coming. A transgender serial predator, we will just say, will be jailed in a woman's prison despite being born and doing these things to children as a man and not having a gender recognition certificate. In other words, a man. Completely, absolutely, biologically, physiologically, and legally a man. But he will be going to a woman's prison. Sally Ann Dixon, 58, born as John Stephen Dixon, was sentenced to a minimum sentence of 12 years. After being found guilty, he'll do 6. After being found guilty of 30 counts of indecent assault or indecency with some very young victims, with the youngest being just 7 years of age at the time of the attack. Despite the fact that Dixon was born as a man and he is not legally recognised as a woman for not having a gender recognition certificate, the legal document validating a gender transition in Britain, a judge has allowed this pervert to serve out the sentence in a woman's prison, and he will enjoy all the privileges that are afforded to women in the penal system. This is so wrong. Now, I am hoping to God that women in this prison do what our justice system is incapable of doing, because he is going in there thinking he's going to have an easier time in a women's prison than he is in a men's prison. And I would like the women in that prison to show him how wrong he can be. I would like this man begging to go to a man's prison. And I'm hoping that the women in that prison make sure that this happens. And I don't care what happens to him. I don't care what parts of his body accidentally fall off. What parts of his body are, whoops, sorry, I slipped and spilt my incredibly hot coffee completely into your lap for the 9th time. How sad. I don't care if all of a sudden he stopped being. No, he just stopped being. That would not bother. I would not lose one moment's sleep, because monsters like this deserve all they get. Now, the decision to jail Dixon by Judge Mark van der Vaart in the HMP Bronzefield female prison also comes despite the fact that the convicted P committed the crimes between 1989 and 1996 while still a man. And he's still a man. Dixon claims to have begun transitioning in 2004. He can claim what he likes, but he's full of crap. Detailing the heinous nature of the crimes, Detective Constable Amy Pooley of Sussex Police Complex Abuse Unit said, Dixon came to know these vulnerable young children successively through family connections and used that trusted access to systematically use them for his own gratification, in some cases for several months at a time. Only when one of the victims eventually came to us in 2019 were the terrible and distressing nature of Dixon's offending over many years finally uncovered. Well, first of all, he's only going to do 6 years, and secondly, he's going to get easy time, which I hope he does not. As one victim escaped this predatory interest, another would take their place, but sometimes some victims would be offended against simultaneously. This case shows again that we'll always follow up such reports, no matter how long ago the events are said to have happened, to support victims and to see if we can achieve justice for them whenever the evidence justifies that. Justice? This isn't justice. Putting him in a women's prison for 6 years is not justice. Justice is when he's holding his own meat and 2 veg in his hands and being forced to eat it in public. That's justice. He'll never do it again. The prosecutor in the case, Ryan Richter, prosecuting, described a campaign of offending against children lasting 8 years. The defendant, living as a man in the 80s and 90s, was a brazen and callous predator. He exploited young males and cultivated a toxic relationship with female children, who he systematically used throughout their childhoods. The issues of allowing biologically male transgender sexual offenders being allowed to serve out their terms in women's prisons in the UK is well documented and wrong. Indeed, following a string of SAs against female prisoners committed by biologically male transgender inmates, the government actually opened up its first transgender prisoner wing. Indeed, a 2017 report claimed that nearly half of male to female transgender inmates were convicted SOs. And Dr. James Barrett, the then president of the British Association of Gender Identity Specialists, warned Parliament in 2015 there is a plethora of prison intelligence suggesting that a driving force behind male sexual offenders identifying as female was in order to make subsequent sexual offending very much easier. Yeah, because, I'm identifying as a woman, but I've still got me cock, because I can then get close to women and children by pretending to be a woman, and then I can offend like mad. And that is why you should never, ever, ever allow these weird, sick individuals who pretend to be women into women's changing rooms or women-only areas, because they're not there because they want to be women. They're there because they want to abuse women and they want to get close to the children. They're sick individuals, every single one of them. They are mentally unstable, they are mentally ill, and they cannot be controlled while we constantly pander to a tiny minority of loud, sick, mentally ill people. So we've now got a man. The court accepts that this is a man and they're putting him into a woman's prison, and he will offend, he will attack women, he will damage women in prison. It's undoubted. He doesn't need to be in a woman's prison. He needs to be some category A prison with some proper villains, and they will certainly educate him as to the mistakes he's made with his life choices. And I'd like the women in whatever prison he goes to, Bronzefield is it? I hope the women of Bronzefield do the decent thing. I shall come up now. So there you have it. Trans rights are the sole issue of the British legal system. Our entire judiciary only cares now about trans rights. Women's rights, children's rights, they don't matter. They kowtow and supplicate themselves to this minority group of sick, mentally ill individuals. Women in prison? We'll just throw a few men in there to attack you. Children? Just be prepared to be attacked in changing rooms, because we don't care, says the legal profession. It's wrong, and these bastards need to be doing time in hardened prisoners. Category A prisons, in fact, because they're Category A prisoners. They represent an ongoing danger to women and children. Let's hope it happens. Thank you for watching. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, protect your children, and goodbye.